A presentation of AIT.
As we step into a second grade classroom today, we will see children deeply engaged in Writer's Workshop. Writer's Workshop has the same basic components as Reader's Workshop. There's a mini lesson, planning or status of the class, sustained silent writing, workshop time, whole class share time. During workshop time in this second grade classroom, we can see that children have gained independence and moved well beyond journals and the scribble writing of emergent writers. They're busily engaged in the total process of writing. Children are writing together and writing alone. They're in all different places in their writing process. Some are beginning to get their ideas on paper. Others are well into their first rough drafts. There are children revising, self-editing, peer editing, and conferencing with the teacher. Some children are publishing and illustrating their pieces, and some are sharing their finished pieces in the author's chair during whole class share time.
4 friendly monsters. Louder. Louder. Don't be afraid when I show you the monsters. I'm writing about 4 friendly monsters who love shapes. These monsters are in my classroom at school. They like to learn about colors. The colors on them are green, yellow, red, and blue. They are 3 boys and 1 girl. Show the picture. Go show it. They love shapes like rectangles, circles, triangles, and squares. They like to build things with shapes. Do you like to build things with shapes? Yes. Oh, a picture. No, a picture. Like Lindsay showed. There, that's better. Yeah, that's better. They love numbers. They like to count things. They even count each other's eyes, even though they know the answer is 6. Can you guess why? They're so used to learning. Are you still afraid of the 4 friendly monsters? No. Not to me. No. The end.
The classroom you have glimpsed is Tracy Nasinski's second grade class. I'm really pleased you could be with us today, Tracy.
Thanks, Mary. I'm looking forward to sharing what is happening with me and my children in Writer's Workshop.
We can't tell it all in 30 minutes, but we can share some of the highlights of some of the ways second graders are working and how you are adjusting your instruction to meet their developmental needs.
They really keep me on my toes. Just when I think I'm on top of everything, some of them make huge learning leaps. I have to leap with them so that I can continue to challenge and support them in their advancement.
That flexibility you describe is truly the art of teaching. Let's take a look at some of the things that happened during your Writer's Workshop when we visited your classroom. You began with the mini lesson.
Yes, we've been working on making leads or beginnings of stories interesting. So my mini lesson focused on that. I reviewed the idea of leads, read The Very Busy Spider for an example and for further discussion. Then I had some of the children read their strong leads from newspaper articles we wrote last week about the Olympics. This morning we're going to start with Writer's Workshop, and we're going to be talking about lead-in sentences. Do you remember when we talked about that a little bit the other day when we wrote our Olympic stories?
Yeah.
Do you remember what a lead-in sentence is, Lindsay?
It's where it really gets the people that are reading's attention.
Yes, it grabs their attention. It makes them interested. It makes them want to read the rest of your story. Well, I'm going to read you a story today called The Very Busy Spider by Eric Carle. And Eric Carle is one of my very favorite authors. And one of the reasons he is one of my favorite authors is because he does really good lead-ins. He really captures your attention. He makes you want to finish the book. I want you to kind of listen for his lead-in, and I also want you to listen for how Eric Carle ends his story. The Very Busy Spider by Eric Carle. I'm going to read the first sentence again. And I want you to tell me what you noticed throughout the whole story just from this first sentence. The first couple sentences actually were, early one morning the wind blew a spider across the field. A thin silky thread trailed from her body. The spider landed on a fence post near a farmyard. What did you notice throughout the story just from those few sentences? Amber?
Spider was on the farm the whole time.
Okay. And what did you notice was written on every single page that had to do with that first lead-in sentence? Kristen?
That it had to do with the spider making her web. The spider had a very busy day. He was busy on his web the whole day.
And so he was tired and went to sleep. Very good. Did you notice how the lead-in, Connie said just a minute ago that the lead-in sentences made you want to read the rest of the story? And the closing sentence, the spider falling asleep, kind of went with the lead-in, didn't it? You know what? I have some of your work here from the other day when we wrote about the Olympics. And do you remember we talked about catching the audience's attention because these were supposed to be like newspaper articles? You should hear some of your lead-in sentences. Dan Jansen has one more chance to win the glory of the glory of the world. Will he do it?
Olympic news. It's not over with me yet. Jansen's laugh was long and touching. He had one last chance for gold and glory.
Very good. I like the part where Christopher said that it was his lap was touching. What made you think of that, Christopher?
Well, just at the end when he got the medal ceremony.
Yeah.
When he did his victory laugh with his daughter, Baby Jane, it made me think of that.
I think most of them are getting the idea. Their leads draw me in. What next?
Next is status of the class. This is a very important but quick way for me to encourage them to be ready to work, to see where everyone is in their work, and for me to know exactly who I need to work with during workshop time. I'd like you to tell me what you're working on right now in Writer's Workshop. If you're doing your first draft, if you're doing editing, if you're ready for a final edit, if you're ready to read, if you're ready to share, just let me know what you're doing when I call your name. Stevie?
I'm working on my Aladdin book.
Which part of it? The first draft, the final edit?
The final edit.
You're editing yourself?
No, I'm writing on the book.
So you're doing the first draft. Okay. Thank you, Stevie. Brittany, what are you doing, honey?
I'm sharing a book and I'm working on a book.
So
I'm on pictures.
you're waiting to share your book and then you're doing another one too? You're working on the first copy of another one?
I'm on the pictures now.
Okay. Matt H?
I'm working on my final edit.
Final edit? So you're going to need a conference today? Okay.
Me and Nelson are on our first draft.
You and Nelson are doing a team book, and you're on your first draft. And I see I'm going to have to set up a lot of conferences. A lot of you are ready to start a new one and publish, huh?
Status of the class is certainly an important step. It allows you to be on top of what's happening with each individual during the workshop. We can thank Nancy Atwell, author of In the Middle, for that excellent organizational idea. Of course, After status of the class, children and teacher begin writing, and after a short time, all the other workshop activity begins. We know that the children will continue working on their pieces, some alone and some together. How do peer conferences work in your room?
Well, children can do quick conferences with each other on a number of different issues. Topics, how to get unstuck, and editing, for example. Kristen and Kathy are having an editing conference. Children do this after they have done self-editing. At this time in class, I expect them to do as much editing as they can for punctuation, capitalization, and spelling.
First, Kristen, I'm gonna read this to you. My cat is funny. My baby kitten was cute when we first bought him. Now he's funny because he can beg, sit, sleep, and much more. He loves to eat and drink. My cat can be really cute, but how cute can he get? He can be really cute because once he was sleeping in the sink with a towel over him, and when he sleeps upside down with his tongue sticking out a little. My cat loves to play. We made up a game called Touch Ya. It's when you put your hand down on the couch and you pull it back and he'll try to hit you. And then if you tag him, he's it. He loves to play with me.
Okay, now let's look through and let's try and look for a butt.
Okay. Let's
think of B-O-U-G-H-T.
Wait, let's think of different ways to write it. B-O-U-T.
That looks right. This one.
Yeah.
Okay, so just cross it out now, right?
And then write it on the bottom. O-U-G-H-T.
Okay, now
First, I thought first looks...
No, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, cute looks right. I'll erase these two.
Okay.
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 I can see that the girls are using some spelling strategies. Does it look right? Try writing down as many possibilities as they can think of and choose the one that looks right. And of course, look it up in the dictionary.
Yes, I also encourage them to read the walls to see if their word is there and to think of somewhere they might have seen that word before and go to that source.
Empowering them with spelling strategies increases their independence and confidence. How about the individual conferences you have with the students?
Sometimes the students have difficulty organizing what they're going to write. I use a big idea sheet for them to provide some support. I've noticed that the children choose to use this idea in other writing settings as well. This is not required for all of them, but it works for some children. When you first thought about what you were going to write about, Kristen, what was the first thing you did on your big idea sheet?
I thought of a title that I was going to write, and then I thought of ideas that I was going to write in my story.
What was your title?
My friends.
My friends. And then what were your smaller ideas?
Well, some of my friends.
You wrote down their names.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that you have these crossed out, Kristen. Why did you cross out your friends? Why did you cross out those things?
I was underlining.
Oh, you were underlining them. Okay, so are you still writing about your friends?
Mm-hmm.
So your title is going to be My Friends, and these are the people that you're writing about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, how are you going to open your story? What do you think your lead-in sentence might be?
I have lots of wonderful friends.
I have lots of wonderful friends. And why would you use that as a lead-in sentence?
So that the people would read more of my story.
What would they be able to tell by reading, I have lots of wonderful friends?
That there are friends in my story and they are wonderful.
Okay, so they would know what the story was about by looking at your opening sentence?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any ideas about what you're going to write about these people?
Well, I might write about like their family and what their hobbies are.
Okay. How are you gonna describe your friends?
I might describe them like they're very nice, and they have one brother and two sisters.
So you're basically gonna
Yeah.
tell about each friend?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that'll be a nice story, Kristen. Thanks for sharing.
What are some other ways you've handled ideas in organization, Tracy?
Well, sometimes when they're stuck for an original idea, they've maybe seen a movie, read a book, or seen a TV show that they're interested in retelling. I allow this on occasion, as long as they retell it in their own words. It can be a confidence builder, and the structure is already provided by the original story. Hi, Kirsten.
Hi.
Can you explain to us, I see that you have a published copy of Free Willy here. Can you tell us how you got the idea to write about Free Willy?
Well, I saw the movie, and just when I got back to school, I just thought I saw the movie and I just wanted to write about it.
I remember after you saw it, you were really interested in it, weren't you? How did you go about writing the story of Free Willy? Because you had seen the whole big movie, the 2-hour movie. How did you think of what you wanted to write in your book?
Well,
Did you do any retelling?
I didn't copy any of what they said on it, but I just did sort of what we do when we write.
And what was that?
Well,
Explain how we write.
when we write, if we already heard the story, then we have to put it away and then think what it said and just do it in our own words.
So you retold the story of Free Willy in your own way. Then what happened after you published, honey, and you did all of your illustrations? What did you have to put in the back here? A comment sheet?
Yeah.
And what did you do after you put the comment sheet in?
I gave it to you, and you wrote what you liked about it, and then I brought it home, and my mom and dad wrote
Did your mom and dad enjoy it?
Yeah.
Enjoy the story? Very nice, honey. Thanks for sharing.
I noticed that you comment and have parents comment on the published book.
Yes, I found this to be a powerful way to involve parents in the writing process. Children treasure their parents' comments. It also serves as an excellent way to communicate the child's writing progress. Parents need to see their children's work on a regular basis.
What other types of conferences do you have?
Needless to say, I confer with the children about many different things. I always try to focus on one aspect of the piece or writing process. This will be what seems to be most important given the information I am gaining in the conference. I have to remain very flexible. One type of conference that I have with every child is the editing conference. This comes after the child has edited individually or with a peer. And together we will work out the final editing so that they can proceed to publishing if that is the piece they choose to publish. Matt has written a story about Mrs. Blabbermouth, which we are editing. All right, Matt, can you read your story to me first?
If you can't read if you can't read my writing, you won't make it to 3rd grade. If you can't read my printing, then you absolutely won't make it to 3rd grade, said Miss Blabbermouth on the last day of 2nd grade. I couldn't read it because, well, first of all, it was way too sloppy. Second of all, it was not spelled right. And third of all, she didn't space. I mean, didn't she even go to preschool?
Ooh.
She can't even spell it. She said I couldn't read her writing because she misspelled a word. I don't think so, Miss Blabbermouth. You misspelled all of them. Every kid in my class liked Miss Blabbermouth except for me, and I won't miss her at the end of the day. Oh no, it's math. Well, at least she gives us 1 + 1 and 2 + 2, but I still can't read her writing, so I hope I make it to 3rd grade. Well, finally, it's the end of the day, and I made it to 3rd grade, but the bad news is we have to be with Miss Blabbermouth again next year.
Whoa, how did you think of that story?
I don't know.
That's a good. You're not writing about me, are you, Matt? You better not be. I would hate to think that. Oh my goodness. Okay, you did some self-editing here, I see. And you fixed your spelling. Did you go through and check to make sure you had capitals and periods?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just going to read through it, and if I see any, I'll let you know. How did you find out how to spell absolutely?
In the dictionary.
Good. Okay, Matt, what happens when after a quote, what should we put here? What kind of punctuation before said? Do you remember?
A period?
Not period, but a comma. And then Miss Blabbermouth on the last day of 2nd grade is the end of the sentence. Okay, at the end of spelled, what's the ending we put on after we have a root word? Not just a D, but what other letter goes with it?
E.
ED, right. Want to put that in there? Good. Didn't. Can you look at that, Matt? Didn't. Very good. Okay, can you separate this into pages for me? Tell me how many pages you need and then come on back and we'll get you your book.
Matt's story has a familiar ring to it. It reminds me a little of some children's books I've read, like Miss Nelson is Missing. I noticed that you were taking notes and then you directed him to some books.
Yes, I always take conference notes. They are important assessment information that will go in my teacher observation notebook. As for the books, I always have different book sizes prepared so the children can select one that meets their needs. It's a good way for me to organize.
You have given us some very good examples of ways to do conferencing activity during workshop time. I assume that you close the workshop with the whole class share?
Yes, I do. This is very important. Most of the children love to be the center of attention and show off their new piece. I really enjoyed this one, which Brittany wrote about me.
Miss Mazinski does gymnastics.
This is a fiction.
Dedicated to Mrs. Schultz, Brookfield, Wisconsin, 1994. Miss Mazinski likes to do splits, backbend, kickover, and tightrope cartwheels. Miss Mazinski does the splits. She does them every day so she can play. And this people says I did it. Oh, he's loud. You're gonna be so. Miss Mazinski likes to do backbend kickovers. She said they're fun. She said sometimes she doesn't do them because her back hurts. And these people said I hope I don't fall. Looks like you're gonna fall. Because you got a bend. When Miss Mazinski does tightrope cartwheels, she gets scared. She practiced a lot and now she does it a lot and she is not scared. And the people who says, I hope I don't fall. Then, Megan.
I liked how you wrote about Miss Mazinski doing the gymnastics. I like the ideas and her speech bubbles and the rest of her book. There's no boy. Question.
Amber.
What did it? How did you think of to write a book about Miss Nazinski doing gymnastics.
I'd like to know that too, Brittany.
Because that's the only thing I could think of.
I would have enjoyed listening in while she was writing this piece. I imagine she was chuckling the whole time. It shows that you have a trusting rapport with your class, or she would never have been willing to take such a risk.
I believe very strongly in creating a risk-free, supportive environment in writing and in my whole class. It's a long process, building a community of writers. It takes time. Sometimes it's hard with everything that I have to do, but I keep learning right along with the children.
It's important that we as teachers give ourselves time to learn and grow, to grow as readers and writers, and to grow as teachers. I'm reminded of a poem by Eve Miriam, A Lazy Thought. There go the grown-ups to the office, to the store, subway rush, traffic crush, hurry, scurry, worry, flurry. No wonder the grown-ups don't grow up anymore. It takes a lot of slow to grow. Developing a writer's workshop isn't fast. It is a lot of slow. The personal rewards and the growth of the students make it worth the effort. Tracy, thank you for being with us today to share where you are in your development.
Now, Howard